Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Barefoot Radio. My name is Leanne, the Barefoot Medium, and this show aims to give you guidance, support, to help you connect, transform and grow in all areas of love, soul and spirit. A very big welcome to all of our listeners and a special welcome to members of the Barefoot tribe who are joining us today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an international medium, twin flame, transformational coach and author, originally from Brisbane, Australia, and currently living in Colombia, South America. I am absolutely passionate about providing you with the opportunity to access practical knowledge and guidance, as well as tools and techniques you can use in your everyday lives to embrace what you love, what brings you into connection with your joy, so that you can be more of your authentic self. Now, feel free to kick off your shoes, sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode where I am joined by Ronnie Lambrecht, a serial entrepreneur, published author, and speaker who inspires and helps people through her open, honest, and heartfelt style to improve and enhance their lives, both focusing on what is actually important in life. Now, after having lost their only child at just 15, Ronnie understands firsthand what it takes to forge ahead and find new purpose in life, how to find the beauty in the everyday chaos, and helping those who are grieving to find their light in the darkest moments. Not only is Ronnie here to share her story with you all today, she's also here to talk to me about a topic I love, connection and presence, and what that means for you in your everyday lives. So welcome, Ronnie.
Thank you for having me. When you say all that, it sounds absolutely beautiful.
It's part of your story and it's part of who you are. So thank you for connecting in with our audience and being willing to share a bit of your story and your journey with us and talking to us about connection and presence.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit, if you can, about your journey.
Okay, this is the hardest part. This is where I get emotional. Let's see, 4 years and 6 months ago, actually tomorrow. So 4 years, 6 months ago, we lost our son, Dalton. He was 15 years old, and we were on our Christmas vacation. And it was actually the very first Christmas that we ever had where it was just the three of us. Usually we were in big family events and that kind of a thing, but we had taken that year for some reason to go and just be by ourselves and take our four-wheelers and our camper and go riding. And Dalton was attached to his four-wheeler. It was like a whole nother limb for him, like another arm or another leg. And he was amazing on his four-wheeler. And he was out riding and was hit head-on by a sandrail. And a sandrail, people ask all the time, what is that? And it's like a really humongous dune buggy that was about 6 times the weight of his four-wheeler.
Wow.
So when it hit him head-on, he was killed instantly. And then from there, we have really tried to learn how to pick up the pieces and forge ahead. And we felt like if we have to be here, that we have to do something positive with what we've learned from this. So that's why I'm here.
And I want to acknowledge, as a psychic medium, that you and I had scheduled this interview for a different date. And through a variety of synchronicities, we happened to be recording today's show the day before the anniversary of his passing.
Yes.
Wow. And I have these incredible goosebumps and you know that connection still exists and that he's still present with you. And, there's a purpose for every connection.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and you talking about that emotion and bringing that in, and if, I know you're open to it, and
yes,
I feel things and connect in with those in spirit. So I want to give you the gift of that connection today, and knowing that he's present with you, and that, you know, you have incredible intuition and know that he's around you anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. And, you know, talking about connection and presence, and I want to bring the word joy in. And, yes, you know, what I'm hearing, what I'm feeling, what I'm sensing in amongst that is, you know, the youth at which that passing occurred doesn't limit the fact that there was so much joy and so much love experienced in such a short amount of time.
Wow, thank you. Yes, there was a lot.
And what, you know, what a way to go in experiencing and doing something that you love and that brings you great joy and that, yes, connects you with your soul.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And knowing that it was quick and instant and no pain and no suffering does bring some semblance of peace to those left, yes, behind. But I want to bring that part of the topic into today's conversation is, okay, particularly when someone passes so young, it's not something we expect.
Correct. Yes.
And so the shock, the tragedy, not just the loss of the physical person, but also the dreams and wishes and desires, yes, that you as mum,
yes,
had for his life. How did you deal with that?
We still deal with it every day. Perfect example is on Sunday we had a graduation party to go to, and we didn't get to do a graduation party for Dalton. So yeah, I mean, literally we're dealing with those kind of things every single day. Tonight we go to a birthday party for a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old, both of which he didn't get to have. Yeah. So we're consistently on a daily basis living with those situations, those events that we never got to have with him. Mm-hmm. But both my husband John and I are very, I don't know that we would say we're good at it, but we're learning to be good at making sure that we're not focusing on the fact that we didn't get to have those moments, but that we did get to have 15 years, 8 months, and 3 days of other moments before we lost him. So sometimes it's hard to switch up your mindset, but we really do try and force ourselves to be in the moment with the people that we love when they're having their moments, but also to be thankful for the moments that we did have with Dalton. Because if we focused on, you know, he didn't get to get his driver's license, he didn't get to go to prom, he didn't get to graduate, he didn't get to go to the Marines, you know, all these things, if we focused on that constantly, which a lot of parents who have lost their children do, because that's just how they know how to grieve, that it's just extremely difficult to focus on it that way. So we do our very, very best to turn it around and make sure that we're really thinking about all of the good times that we had, and even the bad times, but just the fact that we did get to have them. Yeah. And I love how you bring in that awareness and that connection with, you know, the good, as well, yes, as you know, acknowledging that there's things that you may not have had the experience with. At the same time going, okay, let's switch it up and look at, well, what did we get to experience? And that's a really tough thing for many people to do when Absolutely. They're moving through grief. Yes. You know, and in fact, it's tough for people to do on a typical everyday basis without grief. And then you add grief into the mix, and it's almost impossible, it seems like. But I have to tell you, I raised Dalton to be a very positive child, and to always look on the bright side. And he would kick my butt if he knew I was, you know, laying in bed or not doing something positive with this, because I always taught him you have to take whatever it is in life and turn it around and make something of it. So. Yeah. And, you know, I love how you talk about that, because
I often get clients come in saying, I've lost my child, and that's one of the biggest, experiences of grief and loss for people who lose loved ones. But the reality is that souls, from a spiritual level, souls come into this world for a purpose and to learn things for themselves. Like you talk about, we all come in to learn lessons, and some of us have more lessons than others.
Yes.
And, some are more challenging than others. And, what happens is we come in to learn things for our own soul's growth. And part of when we've done that, we move to it's like moving to a different city, a different country, it's a different realm. We go back home to a different home, whatever that is you want to call it. If you believe in God and heaven and Buddha or whoever you believe in, it's energetically the same place. We go back to another place and our soul continues to connect in and grow. And those who are left behind have their own learnings and their own lessons around that soul moving on.
Yes. I don't like those lessons. But I have to learn to try and do something with them.
And here's the thing, that part of your soul's learning and your soul's growth, and your beautiful, amazing son came into the world to gift you with that.
Yes.
Is to kick your butt, like you say, to get out and share your story around grief, loss, and focusing that mindset on what is important in life.
Yes.
And if you hadn't have gone through that experience, would you be doing what you're doing today?
No, I would not. I would not.
And so that was part of his gift to you as a soul.
Yes.
Coming in going, I'm going to help you share a message with thousands of people.
Yes. Yes. And if we help one family, one parent, it's just one person, it's a gift.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, I feel like today's interview is part of your gift coming back to you to go, that's part of your purpose, that's part of your soul's journey, and he was the gift that set you on that path.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about how you help and support others with stepping through that journey.
Well, from the journey, I've always been a writer, and I've always just loved to write. And so I started blogging, not even blogging, just doing Facebook posts really about our journey and what was happening and how we were feeling, the emotions we were going through. I did one on the 5 steps or 5 stages of grief because, there's that book out there, The 5 Stages of Grief. I will tell you there is no such thing as 5 stages of grief. There's about 1 million stages all at once that you're in, and the person that wrote that book obviously did not go through this. Anyway, so as we were kind of going through things and I was writing, people would comment and say, wow, this is really incredible, and or that's so inspiring, or because of what you said today, I reconnected with my son who I haven't spoken with in 3 years, that kind of stuff. And so people kept saying you should write a book. And so I just kind of got together all the things I had written. And then my husband said, I really think that we should take your writing and really put something out there to help current parents, because my husband has tons and tons of regrets. And for really no reason, but when you lose someone you love, regrets just kind of set in, and they create themselves, and even where they're not supposed to be, where it's not logical. But John said it would be so great if we could put something out there and help current parents so that if anything were to happen to their children or just in general everyday life, that they wouldn't have the same regrets that I have. Mm-hmm. So that's where our book comes from. We've written 3 books, with the first one being Parenting at Your Best, mm-hmm. and then the other 2 are about journaling to your child. So, and those actually came from parents ask us all the time. They say, what could we do for you to help you in your grief journey? And, in all reality, there's absolutely nothing anybody can do unless they said, hey, we're bringing Dalton back today, which we know is not reality. But so there's really nothing anybody could do for us. But what we always tell those parents is to please write love letters to your children, and not just to your children, to your parents, to your siblings, to your best friends, to, anybody who is important in your life and who has made a difference in your life, or who does that one time in their life, just to please let them know in writing how valuable their lesson was or how valuable their love is to you, so that they always have something tangible from you, so that they know how important they are. And, anyway, so that's where all of this has kind of come from. And so hopefully in speaking about the books, we can help current families to really be present and pay attention and put down their phones, mm-hmm. and just really, really be there for each other.
And I want to talk a little bit about, you bringing your husband into it with those regrets and the emotions that, you talked about the 5 stages of grief. My background is also psychology.
Okay.
And, I didn't move forward with that career. I studied it at university, but and I'm grateful for it because I can bring some of those skills and learnings into my mediumship work. And, yes. What I often talk to clients about with grief and the stages of grief is they're messy. They're not. Yes. It's not sequential. You can go through one and then you can go back to it and it comes up. Grief is something that forever changes us.
Yes, and it's an explosion of, say, confetti of emotions. Yeah. Consistently. You're never just angry or just accepting or, it never is. It never is one or the other. You're in multiple stages, if that's what you want to call it, at once. And so part of the grief journey in general trying to forge through that fog of emotion, because there's so many things pounding at you. Trying to just get through those is that's a job in and of itself.
and that emotional impact is often as kids, and I want to bring that part into it, is that we're often not taught as children to acknowledge or express or be present to, and that's where presence comes in. What emotions are sitting there that we might be feeling and how we can express those in positive ways. And that's really what, having experienced a lot of, from kind of 15, I experienced the loss of loved ones. So I have many who've passed and understand grief from a number of different perspectives. And it is messy. It does come up at different times. It can be 10 years later, it can be 2 years later, it can be, it forever changes you. And it's about how much love you have for someone.
Yes.
And being able to acknowledge those regrets, which are simply all those things like we mentioned that you didn't get to do or that you won't get to do, is a normal part of grief. And I want people who are listening to today's show to really acknowledge that it's normal and it's okay to be present to it. It's how you action that and what you do with the emotion that is really important. Are you sitting on, like you said, are you sitting on your butt or lying in bed and,
yes.
whittling away your days, or, what is it that you're doing with it? Or like you're doing, putting it on paper, expressing how you're feeling and allowing that emotion to come out, and, continuing to connect with who you are as mum, because regardless of whether he's physically present with you, his soul's always present with you. And you are still mum.
And I love when you say that, because the last day he was teasing and doing voices, and all day long he called me mum.
Okay.
Wow.
So you are still mum, yeah? And dad, still dad.
Yes, but it's extremely hard to find that identity still, because, when you're at a networking event and someone says, oh, do you have kids? Or how many kids do you have? And those are always the hardest questions and if I answer, yes, I have one and he's in heaven, or yes, I have one and I don't continue with that comment. People want to know all about him and what does he do, and well, I don't know what he does. He's in heaven, and oftentimes people, especially here in America, because we're not taught to grieve, people will literally turn around on their heels and walk away. They won't even respond. They won't say anything, and it's so difficult. And not that them saying something is going to make a difference, but just to acknowledge the fact that I'm not saying this to hurt your feelings. I go through it every single day.
Yeah. And I think it's more about how other people are uncomfortable with grief and not knowing how to respond. And that's, I love what you're doing, because you're teaching people how to respond to that. And it's the other person's uncertainty or, lack of comfort in how to respond to that loss. And the reality is we've all experienced loss, whether it's the passing of a loved one, a child included in that, or it's the loss of a relationship or the loss of a home or financial loss. Everyone has experienced loss, and there's emotion within that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And honestly, I just think like when there's nothing to say, but if you just say, I don't know what to say, that is so much better than just turning around and walking away and pretending I don't exist.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to acknowledge, and people don't talk about it. So I love that you bring that up, and, how do we respond? Whether it's, oh, I'm sorry to hear that,
Yes.
Whatever, just an acknowledgement of the fact that someone existed.
Yes.
And they were present, and bringing that presence and connection in. And the fact that you still have that connection and that presence.
Yes.
Absolutely. And whatever your belief system is, and I know that a lot of people in America, in the US in particular, have that belief system around God and angels or whatever. And I want to bring in your surname, Wing. When someone passes, they all have wings.
Yes. Well, that's a nice way to think about it. Yes.
Yeah, and it's just, we acknowledge people who believe in God, we acknowledge God exists for those people. Then why doesn't a soul who's passed over still exist? Yes. It's just an energy.
Yes. Yep. We just can't see them anymore. But
exactly, and we believe in other things that don't exist.
Yes, absolutely.
So, so I'm so grateful and blessed that we were able to have this conversation that went where it went today.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. And Ronnie, can you just share with people where they can connect with you further if they want to know a little bit more about your talks and how you can help them, as well as your books?
Absolutely. anybody is welcome to go to my website, which is parentingatyourbestwithoutregrets.com. My books are also on Amazon. My email is doitfordalton@gmail.com. And and any way they contact me, I will definitely contact them back. I'm Johnny on the spot for that. So
awesome.
I think if someone took the time to contact me, then I absolutely want to talk to them. So,
perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for sharing your beautiful son with us today.
Thank you.
And, just finishing that off and leaving you with a message moving forward to support you in your journey. Thank you for doing what you're doing and helping and supporting others, and know that he's always behind you and supporting you and encouraging you and helping you do that.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yes, thank you so much.
And give Dad a big kick up the bum for him.
You got it. You got it. I will.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ronnie. And for those of you listening today who want to connect with me further and learn more about my readings, my coaching programs or retreats, jump on my website, thebarefootmedium.com.au. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Barefoot Radio. And I wish you love, joy and happiness wherever you are, whoever you're with, and whatever you're doing in your everyday lives. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode of Barefoot Radio.